What's up, guys? Welcome back to Huddle the Hard One. My name is Holden,
My name is Jacob.
and today we're just going to do a quick video about our predictions for the 2026 Big Ten tournament. So, as of we are filming right now, the Maryland and Oregon game just ended, where Maryland came out on top. Believe it or not, I was planning on picking Maryland before this game happened, just because of the way that they played against Illinois in their last game. They almost beat them on their senior night. But the other game that is happening tonight is Penn State versus Northwestern. In this game, I'll be taking Northwestern just strictly because of Nick Martinelli, and it's his last ditch effort in the Northwestern uniform. He's the leading scorer in the Big Ten, and I don't really see anyone on Penn State really outshining anyone like Nick Martinelli to get into the next round. But yeah, so after that, it would be Maryland versus Iowa. This game, I will be taking Iowa and Bennett Sturts. Bennett Sturts was on the first team All Big Ten team. I think Iowa is also just a better overall team than Maryland is, so I will be taking Iowa in that game. The next game is the battle of the new Big Ten teams, USC versus Washington. Washington, I think, is the better team right now. USC's kind of fallen off a cliff recently with the whole Baker Mazzara drama. And Washington has a good player in Steinbach, who is one of the better players in the Big Ten. So I'm taking Washington in that game to move on. Um, and then in the next one, it would be Indiana versus Northwestern. I'm going to come up with a little bit of an upset here and say that Northwestern beats Indiana for the second
Wow.
time this year. They beat them already once at Assembly Hall. And I think Indiana, is just going to skid here in this one, just kind of looking ahead to because they're going to need a lot of wins to get into the March Madness tournament. But I think they're going to fall short, and I think they're going to get upset by Northwestern. And then Rutgers versus Minnesota. We lost to Minnesota, being Michigan State, and then had two close games against Rutgers. I'm going to take Rutgers in this game. I think they're playing well as of late. They won the game that they played after the one that they almost beat us. I think they're playing good basketball. I like their guards. I'm going to take Rutgers over Minnesota there. Then the next game would be Iowa versus Ohio State. Ohio State, I think after their win against Purdue, they are safely in the March Madness bracket. But I still think they're playing good basketball right now. Couldn't hurt to get another couple wins. With that being said, I'm going to take Ohio State over Iowa. Um, then the next game would be Washington versus Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin pretty easily wins that game. Two great guards in Blackwell and Nick Boyd. They've been playing really well lately. They have like the best resume out of a lot of teams in the Big Ten. I think they're really suited for March. The next game, since Northwestern upset Indiana, it'll be Purdue versus Northwestern. Then I think Purdue comes out with this one, even though I think it might be close because last time these two teams played, Northwestern almost pulled it out against Purdue, but they kind of fumbled there at the end with some also questionable calls going Purdue's way. But I'm going to take Purdue in that game to move on. And then here we have Rutgers versus UCLA. I'm going to take UCLA in that game. Donovan Dent's been playing really well recently. I saw a stat earlier that in his last 5 games, he has like a 55 to 2 turnover ratio. So he's been playing really,
Jeez.
really well. Yeah, UCLA's been playing a lot better basketball as of late since they had those 2 rough games against the state of Michigan. But I'll have them moving on. And then in our quarterfinals here, finally get to the top of the league here after all of them had the triple bye. And we'll have Ohio State versus Michigan. In this game, I don't think it's going to be much of a game. Unfortunately, I think Michigan wins this game pretty easily with the way that they're playing. And then we'll have Wisconsin versus Illinois. This is where I come with my second upset of the tournament. I am taking Wisconsin over Illinois in this game. I don't think Illinois is playing their best basketball whatsoever. They've I think even gone 500 maybe in their last like 6 to 7 games, if not worse than that. But yet the committees still love them and keep them at a 2 seed. I think this is the game that bumps them off from the 2 line to drop to the 3. So I do have Wisconsin upsetting them to move on. Plus, Wisconsin already beat them once this year, so do have Wisconsin winning this game. The next one I have Purdue against Nebraska. I'm going to take Nebraska in this one. I think also to go along with Illinois, I don't think Purdue is playing their best basketball as of late, and I think the first time that these two played earlier this season, Nebraska narrowly lost. They had a late comeback and they didn't quite pull it out, but I think Nebraska gets the job done this time. And then Michigan State versus UCLA. I am taking our Spartans in this one. We are playing really good basketball right now. Other than that Michigan game that obviously that we lost, we've been playing our best basketball of the season, in my opinion, and we've already beat them by like 25 already this year. So I'm giving me my Michigan State Spartans in that one. And then in the semifinals, we will have Michigan versus Wisconsin. I will be taking Michigan in this one, where this is where Wisconsin's mini run comes to an end in the Big Ten tournament. Wisconsin did get Michigan for one of its only two losses this year, but I don't think they'll do that again. They shot pretty perfectly the first time those two played. So Michigan goes back to the Big Ten tournament championship for the second year in a row. Then Michigan State versus Nebraska. I have Michigan State getting the revenge against Nebraska. We narrowly lost to them very earlier in the season at Nebraska by 2 points, where we shot just like terribly. Lost that game by with both teams scoring less than 60 points. I don't see us scoring less than 60 points again against this Nebraska team, and I think we get our revenge. And then finally, the Big Ten tournament championship, round three of Michigan State versus Michigan. I think that we correct our wrongs from this last game, and I think that Michigan State ultimately wins the Big Ten tournament. And it would make for a kind of interesting storyline because last year we won the Big Ten pretty outright. Then Michigan won the Big Ten tournament. This year, Michigan wins the Big Ten conference outright, and then Michigan State wins the Big Ten tournament. So those are my predictions. I guess we'll move it on to you, Jacob, for your Big Ten tournament predictions.
Yeah, so just looking at the bracket, I'm gonna be honest. For that first round versus Maryland versus Oregon, I know Maryland came out with the win. But if I'm being honest, I probably would have taken Oregon. So that would be a rough start for me. And then I'm definitely taking Northwestern for Penn State. Penn State's kind of struggled this year. Northwestern's got I forgot his name, but how do you
Martinelli.
say it? Bartonelli. I kept wanting to say Bellinelli, like Nico Bellinelli or whatever his name was. Marco Bellinelli from Chicago. Anyways, so that brings Maryland versus Iowa. I think Iowa beats Maryland. The USC versus Washington. I don't think USC has the firepower to beat Washington because of the whole Chad Baker Mazzaro situation. He was their leading scorer, so it's kind of tough to win a game when you don't have your leading scorer. So I'm gonna go with USC. I mean, sorry, Washington. And then when it comes to Indiana Northwestern, I'm gonna take Indiana. And then Rutgers and Minnesota. I am gonna go Minnesota with that one. So then I'll have Iowa versus Ohio State. I'm gonna take Ohio State because they've been hot recently. Then with Washington and Wisconsin, I'll go Wisconsin. Indiana and Northwestern, I'll do. Oh wait, I think I
You
messed
picked
up.
Indiana over Northwestern
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. So it'd be Purdue versus Indiana. I'm gonna go with the upset here. I think Indiana is gonna beat Purdue. They already split the season series this year, rivalry matchup. Purdue's been playing pretty bad recently, so I'm gonna go Indiana. And then Minnesota, UCLA. I am gonna go UCLA. Like you said, Donovan Den's playing pretty well. And then I'm gonna have, unfortunately, Michigan beat Ohio State. I'm gonna have Wisconsin beat Illinois. I'm gonna have Indiana losing to Nebraska, Michigan State beating UCLA. I'm then going to have in the rematch with Nebraska and Michigan State, I'm gonna have Michigan State winning, going to the Big Ten championship. And then with the kryptonite, I think Wisconsin's gonna beat Michigan a second.
Oh,
I think they're going to beat them a second time. As much as I would like to see Michigan versus Michigan State for the third time this year, and Michigan State ultimately come out on top. I think Wisconsin has the right kind of guys to go far in any tournament this year. They definitely could. They're either first round bounce or they're going deep in the tournament. They are like a scary team. And then I'm going to have Michigan State ultimately winning the Big Ten championship against Wisconsin.
Interesting. All right. I like that. We got a couple different picks moving on. I had Northwestern going decently far. You had Indiana kind of replacing them, going pretty far.
Mhm.
And then obviously I wasn't expecting you to pick Wisconsin to beat Michigan to get there, but yeah, ultimately, super excited for this tournament. This is the best time of the year. This is kind of like your precursor to the March Madness tournament. Still fun. There's games going on all throughout the day, all week long. So, really excited. We'll see how this tournament, reflects on the committee's decisions for Selection Sunday. Love Selection Sunday. I'm excited to watch that and get the real tournament started. But other than that, go green. Hopefully, we can get this dub in the Big Ten tournament, give us some more momentum and confidence going into the big dance. But
Go
yeah,
white and hang that banner. Let's go.
hang that banner.
Hang the banner.